Okay, so same day, February 18th, 2022. Now, this is what I'm going to can. And then what's in the oven. But before I do what's in the oven, I'm going to get the jars ready, see how many jars this takes, and then top it off with a few jars from the oven. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is degrease the pig's feet. All right. And then what's going to happen is I am going to take this whole thing as is. I already took out the bones, people, because that's all gelatin. Okay, I'm going to try and can it. I want it canned. Okay, I want to freeze up my deep freezes. I could take it and put it in the freezer, but I don't want to. Okay. And then this is that sausage with other sausage. This one kind of crisped up a little bit in the oh boy, I'm so tired. In the I'm looking for the sausage. I think I already cut it up. Yeah, there's some right there. See? That's a sausage. And then this other one was just ground Italian sausage. And it kind of crisped up on the surface of it. But that's okay. It's just going to add flavor to your broth. That's all that's going to do. That will be about 3 jars. And then this is that bacon. Well, pork. That just basically has salt and pepper in it. But before I take it out, I'm going to try and take out as much as that as I can. And then I'm going to wash my jars. I'm going to fill up my jars. Now, everything is cold, right? I just took it out of the oven now. So I'll get everything in the jars, get ready for it. And then as I'm working, you know, it's going to warm up a little bit, right? Because, you know, it's not in the fridge anymore. And then top it off with your broth. And I'm probably going to, I'm pretty sure I still have, what is that, pint-sized jars? That's only 75 minutes. So I'm probably going to do 75 minutes between all of that in pint-sized jars. And then, depending on how many jars this takes, I'll top it off with other pint-sized jars with what's in the oven. And then after that batch, then to make it probably easy on myself, I think I have another case of quart-sized jars, which is 90 minutes. And that will be all the sausages and everything that's in the oven. And hopefully I'll get that all done by tonight. And it's 6:04 now. So we'll see. Okay, change of plans. I don't know why. This is pig's feet and jelly. Only no liquid. What I'm doing is I'm taking out the fat. Honestly, I'm probably going to take this one and just mix it in with that one. Okay? And we're going to experiment with that. And then eventually, after I think all the water is evaporated, I'm going to strain it and put it in sterilized jars and can it. And we'll see what happens. It will be good for frying. Okay? This, we know what it is. This is the bacon. This is the pork that's salt and peppered. This is the studnats, but for whatever reason, I have more. So I'm just going to take all this, put it in a pot. I'm going to get in it first, and I'm going to slice it up into pieces, right? Put it all into the pot with this liquid, and then we'll see what this is. I'm not sure, people. I think this is, I don't know. What am I missing here? Because I'm finding bones. Right? No, there's a bone. No, that's not a bone. That looks just like, I don't know, that looks like grease. So, take it all out. But I found bones. So hold on. Look how nice that is. Oh, it's so tasty. This is nice. I don't know what that is. I can't remember. Look at that. Look at that, people. Look at that. I'm thinking I just put it like that so I could go through it separately. Right? This is so good. Now, I'm going to cut it up because that's mostly jelly. So I'm just going to cut it up, put it in a pot, and warm it up. And it's already in pieces, so I don't want to break those pieces up. I think that's what this is. I just didn't, it was tired, right? So I'm going to can it. Right? So you can't get it in the jar like that. Now it's going to end up doing that in a jar if it's in Auntie Shamay's room and it's cold. Right? It should be fine. Otherwise, I'd have to warm it up and then rejar it into jars and put it in the freezer. But you can see, look, that's all just gel. Okay? So that's what that is. I have to go through that again. Right? Look at that. Isn't that nice? Right? And I know you can gelatin because back in the day they used to can whole chickens in a can, and just by the way they canned them, they had gelatin in them, and it was so good. The only thing that this needed was a bit more garlic and a bit more rosemary, but I'm not worried about that right now. You can always add that later. Okay, so you see what I'm doing here, okay? And now, of course, that gelatin is gonna, it's gonna warm up, and it's gonna come into a liquid again. All right, I'll leave a little bit out for Mari. He likes this stuff actually. And then after it's jarred, right? Even if it's gelled, you can, what do you call it? Open your jar, put it in a pot. You'd still have to warm it up. And then, bring it to that low boil for 10 minutes. Turn off your heat, let it cool down. You could put it back in the fridge and it would gel back up. And you'd have almost stood gnats without any effort. Just add a little more pepper and a little more salt. And a little bit of rosemary if you want more. And some garlic. So that's what that is. So now I have to go through this, and you see the little bits of grease. Where am I? I wish I could see better. I'm putting it in here, and then I'm just mixing it in with that, and then we're going to see what we get. Because I'm finding the grease is in between. See, that's grease. Right? This is, you can see, right? That's the gristle from because I'm finding bones in here. Anyway, hold on. Okay, so I remember what this is. It's the beef from the bones and the marrow from inside the marrow bones, because I had a lot of marrow bones too, right? Okay, so I took out whatever little bits of grease I could find and I just threw it in there. Okay, we're just going to see, right? Okay. See? Anyway, I'm not too worried about it. So that's beef. These two. With marrow in it. And gristle. Whatever came off the beef bones. Okay? That's the sausage. That's the pork. That's the stood gnats. Okay? So I am just warming it up and getting it ready to put into jars. Tastes like stewed nuts. The only thing I might do is just add a little bit of salt to it. And even then, it's not necessary. And then I've got my jars. Now the only thing that I have an issue with, I have to go look for some different lids. I have some. I don't know what they look like, because when you're dealing with different things and you can it, like I canned the pork and the chicken the day before, right? Do you think I can tell which one is the pork roast and which one is the chicken? No. So, right. I put chicken and then pork in brackets with the question mark. If I thought it was pork, I put pork on top with chicken in brackets with a question mark. So there was no surprises. You'd be like opening up a jar thinking it's pork, but it tastes like chicken. These are completely gold, right? Unless, of course, you know, when I stack them in the canner, you know, I wasn't even paying attention when I did that other stuff, right? I was in panic mode, just wanted to get it going, right? Because I don't want to be labeling pork with chicken, with beef and beef with, anyway, you get my point, right? So I'm getting ready here to start filling up jars. Hold on. Boy, it's hard to remember everything. Okay, that's the stewed nuts. Alright. This is this blue pan, which I did take the liquid from it because it tasted good, people. Now this is going to be greasy either way. The whole thing, all of it, is all been greasy, okay? I've been dealing with greasy stuff. So I had to throw in a couple of extra sausages from the oven in there. So we've got the pepperoni with the sausage and the turkey. Plus, I took the juice, I tasted it, and it, you know, I just distributed it evenly between it all for the flavor of it, okay? And then I'll top it off up to 1 inch with the beef broth from that pot, okay? This, I got confused again. I did. I ended up mixing the pork with some beef. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Okay? Whatever. I'll top that off with beef broth. And then we've got the Italian sausage with the other sausage. You can see there's 3 jars. And then this is I think just beef by itself. See? Look. Right? Chicken, pork with a question mark. Right? And then I've got a few jars over there where it says pork with, well, I'm thinking it's pork, right? But who knows? Anyway, the point is it's protein and it's good stuff, okay? Okay, so I guess the point of this is it will go good with lentils. Obviously beans. Right? If you had to eat beans by itself, and that's for meat eaters though, right? If you had to choose between eating beans by itself and not having access to any kind of meat, or if you had beans with a little bit of meat, even if it was just a little bit, like this kind of stuff, right, then I think you'd be happy, right? Because I'm like, well, what you gonna do with this stuff, G? Wasn't like you were planning on canning it. Mixing up beef marrow with fatty pork with the rind and everything on it, in terms of like if it was like bacon with salt and pepper, right? I mean, whatever. I got 2 jars, I think, of beef here. The other ones are beef mixed in with like the pork there with the mixed in with the marrow, which is like extremely good, right? For you as a person, that is. If you're a meat eater. I know Lucy says she doesn't eat meat, so. I like it. I don't know if she's completely vegan. Like some people, they don't eat eggs, they don't eat butter, they don't no milk, nothing. I don't know. Anyway, I seem to be one jar too many. I counted them out. But I had an extra one kicking around, so I guess I filled it up. Now this Italian sausage is extremely greasy. Oh, why am I missing a lid? I don't know. But everything is extremely greasy here. The whole, from start to finish, it's greasy. One jar with the lamb didn't seal. It was sealed when it came out of the canner, but it popped today. They say give it 24 hours. I like to give it a week. Anywhere from two days up to a week. Right? It's in the fridge now. So I'll try and do something with it with lentils. So, I'm one jar shy with that sausage, Italian sausage. Now, I don't know. Here's a trick, Lucy. I learned this too along the way. Don't have your water boiling in your canner. Oh, this camera is weird. Oh my, what did I do? Don't have your water boiling in your canner before you put your lid on, because as soon as you put your lid on, the pressure of that boiling water is going to suck the lid so tight that you're not going to be able to put it on. Okay? Right? And it's like freaky. So you have to heat up the water in the canner, but you don't want it boiling. Okay? Otherwise, you're going to have a really hard time closing your lid. And you check, make sure this falls down. Right? I normally just blow in this to make sure that it's working. Okay? Alright, so make sure that's popping up there. Right? Don't have your water boiling, but have it warm. You know, I got it on 6, I'm warming it up. Oh, gotta turn this around. Gotta match up the... I have 18 jars in here. 1 pint. That's why I recommended you buy like this, because then, you know, you can only get 7 liters in it, unless you go with a bigger canner. But I normally work in pints, right? I mean, I do liters. We've seen that, right? I'll be getting into liters next, because I think I'm running out of jars now. So I still have those sausages and that other stuff in there. It might be enough for 7 liters, which would be fine. So I'm going to put the oven now just on warm. Just on warm, which is 170. Okay. It's going on 8:30 or something like that now. This is for 75 minutes. Yeah. And I'm going to show you how greasy this is. And I've got my little science experiment over here with this grease. Now it should be actually drained out. I'll leave the lid off now for a while because it's nice and warm in there to let the water evaporate. Okay. Do you see? That's the Italian stuff. Look how greasy that is. Greasy, greasy. Auntie Shamay's room is very cold though. So, it's very greasy. Right. But, if you can get it in a very, very, very cold state, it's usually pretty good. There's no guarantees in life. Right? Some jars will sit for years and years and years and years and years, and some will pop tomorrow. And this is this stuff. So I'm going to end up straining it. I'm just going to let it stay open like this for a while. And then I'm going to strain it. Hold on. Okay, sometimes nothing is easy. This little thing, speak of the devil, I was having issues with it. I don't know. So, you can't open the canner right now. I had it venting. But this little thing, I don't know. I think there's something stuck in there. Because it popped up a little bit. It popped up a little bit. It only went a little bit. And then see, it's just not working right. So, now mind you, this is a full canner. So you got to let it completely cool before you even try to open it. Okay? And then you're going to have to start over again. Now, I was just getting ready to vent it, but it kept steaming up, and I don't know, like I said, there was a problem there. So if you ever feel uncomfortable like that, and you don't, you just think you have to start over again, just give it some time to cool down before you open it. Okay? Because it just seems to be, I don't know. Right, it's too tight. So hold on. Okay. So I opened the lid, took it off, it flipped out. Now it could be because the can is really, really full. You see this vent? When they say it starts venting like this, start counting 10 minutes. But this thing usually pops up. Okay, for whatever reason, you can see there's a lot of steam coming out of this. Okay, right, you can see that. So, this should pop up like very, very soon. Usually when that pops up, that's when I start counting 10 minutes to vent. Because this isn't venting at high speed, right? It won't vent at high speed until this pops up. But for whatever reason, I'm having an issue. Now it could be because of all this grease that I'm working with. Just whatever, right? I'm just going to give it a little while longer because I don't want to have to restart it again. Okay? So I'm just pointing that out to you, Lucy. See, this is not, it's there, but it's not, right? You don't want to put this on until this pops up. Because this always pops up, but for whatever reason it's not popping up right now. Okay? So hold on. Okay, I just turned off the canner here because it's not acting correctly. All this steam is not supposed to be coming out of this. Now I have to take this and just gently entice it, right? And yeah, no, there's something wrong with this, okay? First of all, you don't normally have all this. Do you see all this steam coming up? You don't have that amount of steam coming up. Okay, so, and here's another little, right? These are little safety measures. Okay, so this is my second attempt here. Okay, so just, put it on the safe side, right? If I'm looking at this, it looks kind of crooked to me. So why it's crooked, I don't know. We're going to see if this thing drops down. Okay? Alright? Because that's another little... Yeah, you see? It just dropped. That one just dropped. Okay? Let's see. We're going to let it cool down. We're going to see if this drops because, you know, maybe there's something wrong with that. You can buy parts to replace these things. Okay? Same thing with the rubber inside. Under this. Okay, so now we know there is something wrong with this. This one dropped. It never did come up to full pressure. Technically, I could open this, but for whatever reason, this is sticking. Okay? It's like it's broken. Now we're just going to leave it for a little while longer. It's looser now. We're going to see if it drops on its own. Okay, I'm wondering if there's a jar there. Okay, because the jars are pretty close, and maybe it's interfering with that. So maybe I'll move the jars. All right. So there's a bit more of a gap there, but I'm not going to try and force it down. I am just going to let it cool down a bit more, and we'll see what happens. Because you wouldn't want to open that if that was working correctly. You don't open the canner until that drops, okay? Okay, this is taking too long. There's something wrong with this. Okay, it's not even wanting to go down. So, as much as you want to open it. Oh my God, did you see what happened? Fuck. It needed to be screwed in. The screw went down. Oh wow. Well, now I have to take everything out, people. Find the screw. Screw it back in. And then see what happens. Try it again. I have another canner. I don't particularly like it because it doesn't have the gauge on it, but if I have to, I can use it. Okay. So, hold on. Okay. Right. Okay, now your jars are going to be popping, but that's okay. Nothing you can do about that. Once it's all done, it's going to be nice. I wish these were done. I'm like, oh, that looks good. But, unfortunately, that ain't happening yet. So, I don't think there's a rubber already on it. So, it should be fine. You know, I don't have a lot of space, so when this comes off and, you know, I'm in between doing, I'll just take this whole thing after it's dry and I'll put on my table over here. Things get thrown on it. You know, I try and avoid knocking the gauge, right? I'm thinking to buy another gauge. So, this is nice and loose now. Okay, I'm just tightening it up a little bit. So, now I'm going to put these back, and I'm going to try it again. Okay? That's all you can do. Happens every now and then. Right? I've worked this canner really, really hard, trust me. Well, if you watch my videos, you would know. And I bought it used. I bought it off of Facebook Market for $100. And they're about 300 or something like that. So, I've been extremely happy with it. Alright. No regrets. Right. What it does is it reminds me how close I came to blowing the stack when Uncle John and I used to, he'd sit over there and I'd be doing this, right? And it was with the one with just the, just the weight, no gauge on it. And I'd work, and you go 110 minutes with fish, eh? Oh boy. By 110 minutes running it the way I was running it, I'd open up the canner and I swear there'd be nothing in there except for maybe a quarter teaspoon of water. I'd be lucky to have a half a teaspoon of water in there. That's when it gets dangerous. I thought I was doing the right thing, right? I didn't realize that you could turn one of these things down right to 3, between 3 and 4, right? Sometimes you even have to go right down to minimum, depending on what's inside, right? In order for it to not get real high. Right? So now if I have to use my other one, I don't run it as high as I used to. I still kind of run it high, but not as much as I used to. There's only so much you can do in here. Right. I'm just wondering if there's a way I can just maybe move these. Not that I ever thought about it before, but I really seem to be going nowhere here. Just trying to make a little more, just I don't know if this is going to make much of a difference. Not really. No, I don't think so. Trying to leave a little more space there. I don't think that was the problem though. But you have to pay attention to these things, Lucy. Okay? I have this right? Yeah. See? Look. Why is that up? What is going on here? It's doing that. It's because these jars are right up at the top. That's why. Okay. It's because the jars are so high. Something's going on there. Now, that's in there loosely. Okay? I'm not going to touch it because once it starts venting, the pressure builds up, that pops up, and the vent really shoots, and that's when you start counting your time. Okay, so now we're going to turn it back on. This is nice and tight. Okay, so it's all locked in, right? Jars are back in, and we're going to see if this is going to work correctly. Okay, hold on. Okay, so now we're going to watch it. This should pop up. It's still losing a lot of steam. Now, I've noticed that my burner is going like this. Okay? I know, I just recently noticed that. So, the pressure in the canner has to build up, and then that will pop up even before you put on this. You don't want to put on this until it vents for 10 minutes. Okay? But this, don't be deceived. This isn't venting. This is just the first stages of venting. Okay? You want a really strong, steady steam of vent for that 10-minute period. Okay? If this is not working correctly, then there's something going on. So we'll just have to give it some time. Oh boy, this is frustrating. Don't get mad though, right? Tell yourself, even though you're tired, don't tell yourself, just don't get mad. It's losing a lot of steam. For whatever reason. I don't want to touch it. I want it to pop up by itself. Right? This is where you have to have that heart of steel. I can tell there's something wrong with it because you can see it's shooting up too much. It shouldn't be like that. I'm hoping it's going to do what it's supposed to do because this is like the third time already if I have to turn this thing on. Turn it off, it's getting pathetic. So the only other thing I can think of is I didn't check the seal, the rubber on the inside. I should have maybe done that. See, this one popped up. This one is not, though. For whatever reason. It's spitting. Looks like it's almost ready to go. Okay, I'm going to turn this off and we'll just see what happens. I'm going to give it a few more minutes. Okay? I'm perplexed. Oh, hold on a minute. Okay, I just had to gently bring it up. Alright, for whatever reason, I might have to buy another part here. Okay, so we've got this one up, and we've got this one up. Now, do you see how this is changed? You can feel it. You can feel it. That's venting. Okay, this has to be up in order for this to really shoot up the steam. Alright, and you can feel it. So once it gets to that point, then you vent it for 10 minutes. Okay? Oh boy, you gotta have that heart of steel. Okay? Now, don't worry, because these things cool down pretty fast. Okay, this is just a safety measure. So after you turn off your, I was going to say computer, after you turn off, like after you do your 75 minutes, and you turn off your canner, it cools down pretty fast. Or, like for example, you're cooking, right? You're pressure canning, right? And you can see that the gauge is rising up really fast. You just turn it down. Turn it down, even if you have to almost turn it off. I was canning something the other day, well, just, what, 2 days ago? And what was it? I think it was the lamb, honest to God. I got right down to minimum with it, and I was almost ready, just, as a matter of fact, I think I did turn off the canner completely for a few minutes just to bring down the gauge because it was coming up too fast to 15. I don't like it when it gets to 15. This will start to rock when it gets to 15. This is why if you're not paying attention or you get distracted, oh my God. So it's just best to be sticking around close to the canner when you're doing this stuff, okay? And constantly watch that gauge, all right? Or you'll be going to the moon in a rocket stove, right? So everything is good. Now the only thing that might happen after you've done your 75 minutes and you turn off your canner, it's going to all cool down. This little thing here is going to drop, right? This should drop, but we know that there's something wrong with it. Okay, now maybe it's just I need to wash the lid and get rid of some grease, or maybe there's, I don't know. I just know that it's working correctly now. So I'm not too worried about using it for the next 75 minutes, because that's just a safety measure, so that after you turn off the canner and everything cools down, this little black one will drop. This one should drop when there's no pressure left in the canner, and that's your cue to be able to open the canner, right? But if everything cools down, this one drops, the little black one, right? And this one hasn't dropped. Before I would open it, I would tap it lightly, and more than likely, if there's no pressure in the canner, it's just going to drop. And if that happens, then, you know, give it another 5 more minutes or so, right? And then you can open it up. Otherwise, you know, this happened to me once before, and that's, in that situation, first time around, because this is my second time, okay? I went off and I got the other canner, and I used that one, and instead of running it on 8 or 9 or whatever, I was running on 4 or 5. But you never really know, though, how much pressure you have in there. You see, that's the thing about those ones, because I have brought in this canner right down to 1, down to minimum, just to bring it down, and then, you know, you leave it like that for maybe 3 or 4 minutes or whatever, 5 minutes, and then you have to start turning it up again, okay? So, you know, you got a little more control with this one with the gauge, huh? So we got another 7 more minutes of venting, and then we put this on, bring it up to 11 pounds, and then start your 75 minutes. And don't go below 10 pounds, because if you go below 10 pounds, you're going to have to turn everything off, let it cool, right, and then let everything drop, let all the pressure drop, and then you're going to have to start the process all over again. So, right, now, after this is done, because this happened to me once before, I brought out the other canner, I used it, and that what happened there was it gave me an opportunity to wash everything, okay, because you can't get the gauge wet, right, so it's kind of hard to wash it, right, but I washed it, right, I took off, you know, the inside, whatever it was, and this, I took it off, and then I just washed everything. I washed the rim, I just washed the rubber seal that goes around it, a little bit of oil, put everything back, and then when I used it again, it was fine. So it just could be that, because I've been working with really greasy stuff. Or maybe it's because my burner is going like this. It's going like this, right? For whatever reason. I mean, right? I can see it. So anyway, we're on a roll now, right? This will be 1, and then I got 1 more batch, and then I can just forget about it for a while. It's spitting and hissing and... And then your heart goes like this. You don't need to go and exercise. All you have to do is stand in the kitchen and pressure can with a pressure canner. Okay? Okay, so I guess we're featuring a canner here. Right? This is another Tudor, you know, right, Lucy? Okay, so, what you'll notice is when it's venting really strong like this, on your gauge, your little dial will start to move, right? But it doesn't go all the way, right? Okay? I still got 3 more minutes, I'll show you. Right, just so you know. I still got 3 more minutes. Okay? And you can see that it's going, right? Now, here's something to think about. As soon as you put this on, and remember, the dynamics always change with each batch because of the density of the food that you're canning, the number of jars that you've got in there, the temperature of your air, your ambient in the house temperature, right? The whole 9 yards, okay? So you can see that the gauge is moving up. Now, when you put this on, it's going to start going fast, and you're going to get scared, right? You're going to want to have to turn down the heat a little bit, but I'd give it a few minutes before you do that. Well, depending on how fast this rises, okay? Because you have to remember that all these jars, they're retaining the heat. They're holding the heat, okay? So that's going to, once you put this on, it's just going to get hotter and hotter, right? That's where that pressure comes in from. And if you turn down your thermostat, your knob there too fast, it's going to interrupt the flow of that pressure, right, for it to keep rising, is what I'm trying to say. So it's best not to turn it down until you get, into the 11 range, and then bring it to 8. It's going to keep rising. Bring it to 5. It's going to maybe keep rising, and then take it to 2 or even 1 if you have to, if you're getting up to 15. This is what I'm trying to tell you, okay? Because I'll show you. We'll go through it. We'll just give it a minute. Yeah, I've got 50 seconds here. Okay. It is a little nerve-wracking, but it's worth it. Okay. It really is. I'd rather do this than make a bunch of meals and put them in the freezer. Okay. Right now, I've got room for apple pie. So I'm looking forward to apple pie. I'm hoping within the next 4 or 5 days I can make 5 or 7, 10 apple pies, depending on what I decide to do. 5 would be nice at least. 7 would even be better, right? So we know it's been venting for a full 10 minutes, okay? I showed you what to do, right? And now it's going to start beeping here in 1 second, okay? You've got enough time to put that on there. Turn it off, put the clock back on. Okay, and you're going to see that this is going to start rising real fast. Do you see how fast that's rising? I wouldn't recommend turning down your heat yet, because otherwise you interrupt that pressure building, and then it kind of lags for a bit before it builds up again, and so that could be defeating the purpose. So just let it continue at the temperature that it's at. Okay, little tricks of the trade here, okay? Right? No cutting corners. Don't be scared, because it's rising fast. You can see, so you get scared. Okay? But don't. I'm telling you, there's no need to. Okay? This is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Now, whether it drops after everything cools remains to be seen, because we know it's sticky. Okay? This one is doing what it's supposed to be doing. That one drops on its own. Okay? When there's no pressure in the canner. Okay? I do plan on purchasing another gauge. I think they're only like 25 bucks. Okay? That's normal. Okay? You're not gonna, this thing doesn't jiggle until it gets to 15 pounds, and you better go check it, because it's gonna keep on rising. Okay? And then that's when it gets scary. You don't want up in here. So when it starts to jiggle, that reminds you that you're getting into 15 pounds and you better hurry up and get to your canner. Versus running off doing something and then get distracted and forget about it because you're distracted. We know how that works. Make sure you're committed to stand with your canner for the amount of time that you're going to be standing with it, okay? Do you see how fast it's rising? Now those jars inside have been popping, closing, unpopping, but that's fine. Everything will be fine. They're either going to seal there or they're not, okay? Okay, so now we're getting into where we want to be. Okay, so now we can get the clock ready for 75 minutes, right? So that's 1 hour and 15 minutes. Okay, now we can, well, we'll give it, hold on. Give it one more minute. Shit. Well, it was 15 minutes. It was right on 10. All right. So we're at 1 hour, 1 hour and 15 minutes, which is 75 minutes. Okay, now do you see where we're at? Okay, it's going to keep rising. So now you can start turning down your this a little bit at a time. Turn it down just a little bit at a time, right? Okay. You can see it's still rising. So now you bring it to 8. It will continue to rise because that's too high. So bring it down to 7. You can hear your stove creaking and moaning and groaning. It's telling you that it's cooling down. Okay, and you're going to want to just bring this to a point where it's stable. Okay, so we're at 7 right now. And again, it depends on what's inside in your canner in terms of keeping that pressure there. Because if I'm looking at it at 7, doesn't it look like it's dropping? It does. So I'd bring it back up to 8 because I don't want to have to start the process again. I tend to go at 13 pounds per pressure. I'm like in that's my comfort zone because, you know, I only got so much time in a day, people, and only so much energy. So now we've got it. Now it's starting to rise again a little bit. So we're going to bring it a little closer to 7 because I know that 7 is technically too high. I mean, I've had it on 1 and 2. Right? Will this go to 1 or 2? It remains to be seen because of the number of jars inside and the density of the food. So you get my point though, okay? So right now we're at 7, okay? And I did that in little increments, okay? After it went past 10 pounds per pressure, or at least got to 10 pounds. Now we want to make sure that needle doesn't go below 10 because if it does, you're going to have to turn it off. You're going to have to wait until that drops. You're going to have to wait until that drops. But being that we know that this is sticky, in 20 minutes, if it doesn't drop, but this one dropped, chances are it's just stuck and you could tap it lightly and then it would drop. And if it drops, then you know it's safe to open up the canner, right? Because it won't drop. It just won't if there's pressure in there. So now we're here. So I'm going to have to check on this you see, it's starting to rise again. What happens is the jars heat up. They heat up over a period of 5 minutes. Do you see? It's going now past, right? Can you see? Okay. So the longer they heat up, this will start to move. So we're at 7. Now we're going to drop it down to 6.5. Okay, because you can see it's pushing into 13 now. So now we'll drop it down to 6. Okay, we'll drop it down to 6, and we'll just let it level itself off, and it's either going to start lowering, or it's going to get hot. The pressure's going to build, and it's going to start moving your needle again. Okay, if it's moving fast, I'm telling you, turn it off, and that will slow things down to the point where you can bring it back to a minimum or a 1, and then yeah, you have to play with it. That's all you can do. So you see it's still rising. So now we're going into 5. Okay, now we're going into 5. Just between almost 4.5. Okay, right? So you do it in increments because you're not really too sure where the needle is going to fall and which way it's going to go. And it'll go back and forth as you continue to mess with that thing. But then this way you know it's been done right, okay? The problem is if the needle drops below 10, not if it's at 13 pounds per pressure. That's not going to make much of a difference when it comes to your food, okay? Because like I said, with the old school one with no gauge, I ran it down to a 1/4 teaspoon of water in it. You'd be lucky to get a 1/2 teaspoon of water at the bottom of the canner by the time I was done canning shit. And Uncle John and I were in here laughing away, thinking it's funny, not realizing that we were ready to blow a hole in the roof. Right? Now you can see it's starting to drop a bit. So we can let it drop for a little while longer. See, we'll see how much it drops. If if it drops. It may stable itself out for about 5 minutes, and then as again the pressure builds up in the canner, the needle might start moving again. To me, I can't really tell right now. We're at 100 and we still got 70 minutes to go. Okay, I don't know what time it is, but all right. So hold on. So I'm in between 5 and 3, up and down, up and down. It's like a teeter-totter, right? So I've washed 7 more jars, which are quart jars, because I'm going to do 90 minutes next. Oh, God. After this is done, with whatever's left in the oven. And that one that was just an oddball, like, where is it? It's right here. It won't fit in the canner because this is not one of the humongous canners, right? Okay. If I had like the salmon sized jars or maybe the half pints, I could do 7 quarts and then maybe half pints, but when you're doing with a half pint, you don't need 90 minutes, I don't think. But then, you see, they base it on what it is, too, right? So, either or, I've got an oddball jar right here that is, looks to me like it's that Italian sausage. I just put it in the oven thinking I could maybe do something, you know, but I can't. Because I'm out of jars when it comes to these. I don't think I have any more of these. Maybe 1 or 2, that's about it. So I'm going to let that cool because I put it into the oven with everything on warm right now. So once it's cool, I'm just going to put it in the fridge with that lamb. And then, being that I won't technically, hopefully, have to can tomorrow, over the next couple of days, I'll look for the lentils, and I'll do lentils with lamb, and I'll do that sausage with beans. How about that? That will be our next videos coming up. Yeah. See, now I'm dropping it down a little below because it's just, right? And then, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside and get the other pot of broth, right? Because this one's almost empty. Now, I didn't add the other one outside. I noticed is gelled up. Must have had more bones or something. Okay? Oh, I'll be, you know, let's just, I'm happy. I'm happy, people. No bitching, okay? I'm not bitching here, okay? I'm not bitching. At least I got something to bitch about if I want to. I'm not going to. So now, because I didn't really flavor these beef broths, they just bland, eh? For the most part, right? I've done better beef broths in the past. And those bones went through a lot. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the other pot, which is got more of the gelatin in it, okay? And I'm going to put it in there with the one that's already there. I'm going to heat it up. I'm just going to keep it simple and do a couple of 2 or 3 of these just to flavor it up. Hold on a minute. Okay. It's more of my oldest son fucking harassing me. I don't know why. Anyway, you can see. Okay? So obviously it had more bones. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to put it here. I'm going to start heating it up. And this one had carrot, celery. Oh my god, I just lost the freaking spoon, man. I have to put my hand in there now. Look, you see? I have to bring this back up to 4.5. Look how it's dropping. That's how fast it can catch you off guard. Okay? And my son wants to call and harass me. Okay. Not now. So anyway, Oh, I don't want it going here. I have to before that gets hot. What am I trying to say here? And this one here has onion, carrot, and celery in it. Okay? So it has a slightly different taste. Bland. You can taste the beef bone in it. Let's just put it that way. That's why I'm going to use the boiling cubes this time around. I didn't with the last ones because it was a little more spicier, like that Italian sausage and, you know, just whatever, right? Hold on. So yeah, I try and tell my oldest son, like, you don't get it, because he doesn't understand why I'm so cranky and tired all the time. Because I don't, first of all, talk on the phone very much. You know, especially when I'm doing shit like this, because him phoning and getting all whatever on the fucking phone, right? You know, just because I guess he feels neglected or something, as if, right? You're how old? 38 years old, right? You kind of fell off the fucking planet for like 10 years, and all of a sudden you pop up and you want mom every week on the phone to be your nursemaid? Like, fuck off. I'm busy. I'm tired, people. I tell them I work harder now than I worked when I had all 5 of them at home with Uncle John yet. Or at least it felt, if, mind you, in those days, I could do 18 hours, 3 days back to back. But these days, it's a little different. You know, I struggle with my eyes. I got to be right, you know. I've been on my feet all day again, people. For the most part. And I still got another 90 minutes to go with the next canner. I'm just getting everything ready. I washed the jars, right? They're ready to go. You know, I brought in this. I'm not going to use all that broth. So I've got how many more jars here? 6. So another 90 minutes after this is out. And then depending on how that goes, that's another whatever left over in terms of broth, because that's a lot of food in there. That's going to take a lot of space up in those jars. So I'm probably going to have some broth left over, and I'd be foolish to waste it because of that bone in it. Okay? Because you can taste it. And you've seen it was jellied in that one, especially that one, right? So that would make good, right? And in times of need, you see, that's the thing. Right now, I'm not hungry, and I don't even want to be doing this, and I don't care. But at the end of the day, there's going to come a day when I'm going to be hungry, and I'm going to want beef broth. Not that I don't have any downstairs, but you know, or I'm going to want those sausages with rice and beans, okay? And if it won't be me, it will be somebody else. This is what my oldest son doesn't understand. Like, I don't fuck around here, you know? I'm behind on shit. I'm overworked constantly, every day, right? My other son, I barely talk to him, right? That's what I tell my oldest son, like, I don't know what the hell you want, because I barely even talk to Marcane half the time. Like, I haven't seen him all day. Didn't see him yesterday. He owes me money. I don't like having to go chase my money. He said he had it. He was going to go get it and bring it to me, but he makes me chase for it. That pisses me off. Right? Only reason I'm lending it to him right now is because there's a window of time at this time of year where work slows down because of the rain and the snow and everything, because he's a tree cutter, right? But I'm going to tell him, I don't want to lend you money. I need it because it messes up my budget, especially with Tisha moved out now, right? She's only helping me out for a couple of months, and then after that, everything I have will go to rent and bills. That's it, people. Rent and bills. I won't have any extra money for nothing. I won't cross that bridge when I get to it. You see, I got it. I got the rent covered, yo. Did you notice that? Rent and bills. Right? I made sure there was money for rent. Maybe not for anything else, but for rent and then bills. Like hydro and my credit cards and gas and that kind of crap. Anything else after that, there's nothing. And that's with my youngest son moving out and somebody else still going and paying down there. Okay? If nobody moves in downstairs, I don't think I could maintain this whole house on my fixed income. Because I'm still paying CIBC Bank, their credit card that should have been paid off in 2016, but Uncle John was medically kidnapped in 2015, right? Because somebody was out to steal his fucking money, right? And left me with the bills, right? But you see, the bank didn't care because they knew people that I would be stuck paying $200 to $300 a month. Well, it used to be $3. Now it's $2 something in interest every month. Okay, it was almost $300 at one point after they took John because it was a maximum of $19,000 that I owed. Those bills, that bill, Uncle John and I were going to tackle because I got rid of all the other little teeny weeny bills. Stupid shit. So I don't appreciate my fucking son, oldest one, phoning me up and fucking harassing me all the time because he has regrets. Whatever those regrets are. Because he drinks, right? And I tell him, like, I don't have time, patience for people who drink. I really don't. I realize it hurts his feelings, but he's a man, and he made his choices. And I don't have time to be ass-wiping his ass, people, because my life is already hard enough as it is. And I resent my son for not fucking thinking about that. Because as far as I'm concerned, he's not helpful at all in terms of being a quote-unquote son. So why the fuck you want to phone up and harass your mother? Because you're lonely, or you're feeling sorry for yourself, or whatever. I'm busy. I don't think he believes me when I tell him I'm busy. Oh yeah, I'm just going to listen on the phone of you talking nonsense and piss me off to the point where I'm just going to hang up on you, right? Because you know you're saying stupid shit because you don't know how to control your fucking mouth, right? And then my pressure canner is just going to explode. Okay, no, I'm going to hang up on the fucking phone and I'm going to unplug it. There, I unplugged it again. Tisha phoned the other day. Why didn't you answer? Because I unplugged it. How many minutes do I gotta go? 34 minutes. So, get this going. Got it on high. Get it boiling. I'm going to start off with 2, maybe a bit more salt. I'm just going to make it a little more flavorful. I might end up having to put 3. That will be good enough, right? It will just take that bone taste away from it, okay? Because the sausages, they're going to leach out flavor anyway into the broth. That's why I didn't do anything with the first time around, right? Whatever was there, maybe minus the pork, but I mixed the marrow with the pork, remember? Because I'm doing this for the nutritional part of it more than anything, right? You know? So now I'm going back up to 5. Oh. I don't even, what time is it, Andre?
Huh?
What time is it? I don't even know what time it is.
11:26.
Are you serious? 11:26?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you need to get ready for bed, okay? I didn't even realize that. I got 33 more minutes and it's 11:36. Then it takes about a half an hour for everything to cool down before you can take it out. And then we're going to do another 90 minutes. I have to, people. I have to. I can't freaking fool around with this shit, okay? So it will be till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning again, especially if I do 2 or 3 quarts of just straight up broth, because I'm not going to waste it. I'm not, okay? I'm not in a financial position to be wasting it. And not only am I not in a financial position to be wasting it, I don't trust my government. I really don't, people. No, not even for a second. Not even the stuff that's going on in Ottawa right now with them bringing out their fucking androids. Okay? I'm telling you, that's what's going on. They're using the military and the policing forces to roll out their mass production of androids / human hybrids. Okay? They're not going to put them in the classroom, but they probably already have 1 or 2 prototypes in there with their masks on, fooling the little children. Right? Okay? We're talking about the public union sector here, okay? The one that has all the resources, right, can access public facilities at taxpayers' expense and never be held accountable to the crimes that they commit within those doors. People getting trampled with horses, of all things. The horses, the national symbol for Canada outside of the beaver, I think. Oh boy. See, Amari's a little night owl. Oh, you know what happened last night? I'm laying on the couch. Right, he's not really a cuddler, right? Like, he likes to sit beside you and stuff. And, he's getting, he's reaching out and touching me and stuff, right? Anyway. Last night, I was laying on the couch, and he was in his normal position. And the little bugger, he turned himself around, people. Seriously. So his head was not here. He turned himself around. Somehow he does it very slow and methodically, and he got himself where his head was over here, and then he started inching up, right? He was getting up on, his head was getting closer to my hip, right? Eventually I just grabbed him and I brought him, like, you're laying on the couch, right? So his head was here, right? Because, he kept trying to get the computer and stuff, and he was just worming his way and figuring out how he could do it, right? And Andre and I, we noticed it, right? And anyway, long story short, I brought him up to me, and I'm laying on the couch with him like this with his head there, right? And we both fell asleep, and do you know, he didn't move, people. He didn't move for the whole night. I woke up, he was still in my arms, right? Didn't fall off, nothing. He didn't fidget, he didn't squirm, he didn't try to, nothing. Just straight to sleep. Slept right through. Sometimes I fall asleep on the quite a bit actually, on the couch, right? And Andre will tell me that Amari's in the bedroom the next day. Oh, you know what he did? He was playing 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I came out and was drinking some water, and Amari's just in there playing and being loud and banging on things. And I'm like, but we got videos of Shimei going, Amari, what are you doing? Why are you awake? Amari, you're supposed to be sleeping. Amari. Shimei, right, with Amari at 4 o'clock in the morning playing. Some kids are just night owls, right? I had 5 kids. All 4 of them were night owls. Marcane was the one, like Uncle John, that would get up at freaking 5, 6 in the morning, no problem. Everybody else were all night owls. See, now it's starting to drop. So I got it down to 2. Now I'm going to bring it up to 4. Oh yeah, it was dropping fast, and I don't want to have to do this again. So I'm going to bring it up to 6. Okay, because we're at 11 now. Right? You see how you have to kind of just stay with the canner, right? You know? Yeah, I got it back up on 6 because I went from 2 to 6. Right? Because, well, it probably has something to do with the door open. I think my door is open. Yeah. Yeah, you see? The ambient temperature changed in the house. Because I brought this in and I forgot to close the door. I can feel the chill. Okay? That's why we went from 2, and then I had to quickly, it was dropping so fast, I had to quickly bring it up to 6 just to stabilize it. So now it's starting to creep back up, okay? So now we're going to go back down to 5, and I should go close my door. All right? You see? There, I proved my point. Okay, so I strained this. Looks to me like there's a lot of marrow in there, okay? That's not, I don't know what that is. Could be marrow versus fat. Right, so I'm thinking maybe I'm just going to put that in the jars a little bit. It's not, you know, it's not going to, I don't want to waste it. Well, that's marrow. So as I fill up my jars, I'm going to scoop some of that into the jars, and it will go in, right? Because, you know, it's nutrition. So in the meantime, here's that grease. I strained it. So what I'm going to do now, I don't want to taste it right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let it cool, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge and see how it congeals. Okay? I'm going to see how it congeals. And then maybe I'll take a sweet potato or something. I'll find something, onions, and I'll take a scoop out of it, and I'll fry in it. And we'll see what it tastes like and how it fries. We'll see how it congeals. And if it looks like it's something that, because you have to put yourself in the mind of, okay, what you do, just hold on a minute. I got 12 more minutes to go. And I'm back at 3. So, what you got to do is put your mindset in the means of if you were on the farm. If you were on the farm and you only had X amount of resources and food on that farm, you would utilize every last bit of it, including the hide. Okay? Right? Make yourself a nice pair of moccasins or something. Or a nice hat. So, in this situation, if this congeals good and it fries good, then what I would do, oh my God. Oh, it's my day, isn't it? It's boiled over. Shit. Okay. I wanted to bring it a boil, but I forgot about it. Alright, that's better that than the pressure canner losing its top. Now I added, looks like just 2 bouillon cubes, because you have to remember that sausage is going to have flavor in it, right? So it's going to add to the broth, right? It's very beefy, and it's still mild. If I was to use it as a soup right now, I would want to add things to it like salt and pepper and, right, garlic, and but being that I'm using it as a stock for the Koopa sauce, the garlic sausage, and that kind of stuff, the sliced meat with the nitrates and stuff, all that's going to leach flavor into the broth, and it's just going to make it that much tastier. Okay, and we know that we're going to add this stuff because this mostly looks like bone marrow. And you don't want to lose that, okay? It was in that thing long enough that if it was fat, it would have melted. So then, okay, so what I'm going to do now is let this cool, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge. We're going to see how it congeals. I'll test it out to see how it fries. I'm in the mindset of being on the farm. I only had one cow. I got a large family to feed. I don't know when I'm going to get another cow, so I'm going to make every little bit count. And if I was in that situation, I would be doing what I'm doing right now. So then what happens is, if everything fries up nice and, you know, it tastes okay, right? Then, because this tastes okay. This stuff tastes okay. It's bone marrow, I can tell. It's actually quite good. Then I'd look for a couple of jars. That's enough for 2 jars anyway. Pint size. I'd sterilize them for 20 minutes, whether in the oven or the convection oven. Convection oven more than likely because it's small, right? At 250 for 20 minutes at least, okay? And then once they're sterilized, you heat this up, but you don't bring it to a boil, okay? You treat it like lard, okay? You don't have to bring it to a boil. You don't want to bring it to a boil. You just want to get it to where it's almost ready to boil, okay? Just right there. Or even just a little past where it's just starting to boil. And you pour that into your sterilized jars. Put your lid on, screw it on, and you turn it upside down for 15 minutes or whatever it is. And then you flip it over, and that will seal the jar and sterilize the lid at the same time. Okay? Or you can try and pressure can it, I suppose, right? For how long? I don't know. I'd have to Google it and double check other people and how they do it, right? The lard that I did with Pastor Granny with that pork fat that she gave me, it's all in the fridge, but I sealed those jars, right? I sterilized those jars. But this has got beef fat in it, so I don't know. There's a difference, right? We'll see. I'm trying to think like an old grandma on a farm. It's been on the farm for years and years and years and years and years and know what they're doing. Right? Well, Grandpa's out cutting wood. Right? My family came from a one-room house. A little teeny weeny one-room house. Basically, with 5 kids. My grandmother had 5. I think one died on her. And up in Mundare in Alberta. And they had big farmland. They used to have to go to the outhouse to go to the bathroom. And they had a wood stove. That was it. To keep their little farmhouse warm. And that's how she cooked and everything. So I'm trying to put myself in that mindset. My Uncle Nick did warn me. He said there's going to come a time when the world is going to go back to the horse and buggy. Mm-hmm. See, now I'm pushing up to 5 again. You got 5 more minutes. Don't cheat.
What are you doing with this?
Canning, Andre. As if you don't know.
No, wait, with this.
That's for this stuff inside so I can can more.
That looks good.
It is good.
Maybe can I have a teeny little bit?
Yeah, when I get to it, I'm almost done.
Yeah.
I'm going to start the jars here soon.
Yeah.
I'm just got...
Can I have a little bit of sausage?
Yes, well, I'm almost done, okay? I'm just making space now. Once I get in the oven and I start filling up the jars, I'll make sure you get some.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I got 4 more minutes. So yeah, my Uncle Nick, he was a car salesman. So he came into technology early in the game, right? In terms of computers and that kind of stuff because of, he was a top car seller for years and years. The same thing with my Uncle Harry. And my Uncle Nick said, there's going to come a time when everything's going to shift and people are going to basically be forced to have to go back to the horse and buggy. So whenever I mention that to anybody, they always laugh at me. Oh no, never going to happen. Never going to happen. Well, I'll tell you, if the freaking hydro goes out and doesn't come back on, it's going to happen. Right? So if it gets to that point, then you'll understand why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking about this fat right now. Okay? And why I'm adding this little bit of bone marrow into whatever it is that I'm making here. Because even though I'm not hungry and I don't feel like eating nothing right now, I know that one of these jars one day are going to come in real handy when I want to do these. Or the beans or whatever. Lentils, whatever. Right? And that's when it's going to taste good. And you're going to be thankful that you did it. Assuming that you don't get robbed, right? Or arrested and locked up, right? For having an opinion, right? Right? Assuming that you don't go down swinging, right? I don't know. We're in a very bad state right now, people. Very bad state. Okay, so this broth is done now. Tastes like beef broth, nothing fancy. It's just your basic beef, right? You could taste the bone in it. 2 more minutes, so I'm gonna get everything ready here. I take the jars out, I put them over here, and then I'm in the process of now getting ready to fill up these jars and get them ready for the canner. I am not changing the water even though it's going to be greasy in there for the second time. When I do the jars for the broth, I will change. Okay, but I'm still dealing with a lot of greasy crap and it's okay. Except for maybe that little thing, right? But it should be fine. I mean, you can change in between each one if you want. It isn't always necessary though. Right? Okay, so turn this off. Now we let the canner cool, right? That's the first batch. It's quarter to 12. Oh joy. It's going to take at least a half an hour or so, maybe 40 minutes before I can open it and bring the jars over here. But by then, I'll have the other 7 quarts ready to go with what's in the oven. And then, that's a 90-minute run, which is an hour and a half. So we're looking at 3 in the morning. Honestly, I really don't want to be doing stock at 3:30 in the morning, but I might have to. It's either that or just leave it on low and pick up tomorrow. We'll see. Okay, so we're going to start with this. That's the pepperoni with that Montgomery beef and stuff like that, okay? That bone marrow, miscellaneous, whatever is in there. I divided it between all the jars, okay? Now we're going to just fill this up and see what we get between that and that. Okay, so that pepperoni, oh boy, well, they're hot. It's delicious though. It just melted in your mouth. So now we got this, right? And we'll see what we get. Okay, so there you go. All I got was 4 jars. Right? You can see what's going on here. Okay? Pretty good though. This is what's left over. Andre wants some, and it's not even enough to fill up a jar. So I ended up taking that marrow and I just put it in between those, right? So now the canner is cooling down. It's at 0. But that hasn't dropped. That sure the heck hasn't dropped. So after everything is good to go, these are going to go. I'm going to get everything ready, right? Okay, hold on. Okay, so what I'm noticing in here is this pepperoni is leaching color. Can you see it? See the difference? That's the grease, and they obviously use coloring, right? That's just straight up Koopa Saw. You're getting into those little pepperonis with this one. That's why it looks like that, right? You're getting a little bit of color in there too. So now what's happened here is this one's dropped, but for whatever reason we got issues with this. See? It's compromised. And have all our children all with us down here. We're violent. I might have to get another one. He's lost his board. So this all begins when society has allowed stuck. Something going on with it. The words of everything. And what violence now means is a completely different thing than what it used to mean. What racism means now. So we'll just give it a few more minutes. Okay, so first batch is done. Don't ask me what they are. I did use 4 lids that were different, and that should be, you know, I should have wrote it down. Okay. Anyway, they're done. Oops, just hold on a minute. I just put that other pint-sized jar with the spicy Italian sausage in there, even though it's a 500 ml pint with quarts. That's okay. From 75 to 90 minutes, whatever. It's going to be what it is. I don't feel like... I already got the lamb in the fridge. That's enough, okay? Like I said, I'm not very hungry, so I'm just doing this just because, right? Now, I probably got anywhere from 4 to 5 1-liter jars of that bone broth, right? And in light of everything, it would be just wise to can it up and be done with it, right? So this is 90 minutes, assuming I don't have problems with this thing. It could be my seal, the rubber seal, because it seemed kind of loose in there. Hold on a minute. I swear Amari came into a new milestone. He's turning himself around in his little spot there. You set him this way, next thing you know, he's this way. He's getting stronger, too. I don't know. Anyway, what time is it? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, see how it goes. That's another thing you have to be prepared for, Lucy. An all-nighter. You just can't rush it, right? So, now that those are in, hopefully I won't have too many problems with this. Okay. Do the 90 minutes. And then, before I take them out of the canner, have my broth jars ready. So that when I take them out, and be done with it. Broth is only 20 minutes. And then this way, I don't have to deal with it. Otherwise, I probably won't do it. And I'll just pour it down the drain. And I don't really want to do that because something like that would be good for beans or whatever, right? I don't trust our governments, people. Well, so, I'll be back. Okay, so this time it worked nicely on its own. Okay, so now that we've got that venting going with this up, we do our 10 minutes. Okay. And then after that, 90 minutes at more than 10 pounds per pressure. Okay, so now it's 1:30 in the morning. I gotta do this for an hour and a half. Right? Start turning it down in increments. And then once you kind of get a little stable, you got a little time to continue tidying up and getting jars ready. My canner can take 7 jars, 1 liter size. Right? I probably won't use 7, but we have them if we need them. I tasted this broth. It's good. I think when you want a really beefy taste, you have to have like actual meat in it. At 60 years old, you would think I would know this by now. Because when it's mostly bones, and the reason I kept that marrow, people, is because you pay more money for that particular kind of bone where you get that kind of marrow. Okay. There was really not very much meat, just whatever was on the bones. So it doesn't have that quote unquote beefy taste versus a bone beef taste. If that makes sense. But the 2 little bouillon cubes that I did in there, they were good. That just made it right. Either or, all of this will be good to mix into meals. Alright, now I'm having to turn it back up. Because there's only 4 jars in there, and plus that little one. Okay, so I'll be back, I guess, at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, this is where I'm starting to not feel well. I still have an hour and 10 minutes to go, people. And then I've got my jars ready for this beef broth. I'm going to do it, because then this way I don't have to do it tomorrow. I can put all these big pots away and these freaking crock pots and just get back to doing what I was doing. Alright, I'm trying to clear out the kitchen, not bring more shit into it. Alright. Like I pulled out 2 crock pots, 2 big ass pots, all my well, not all of them, but some of those, you've seen those cast iron pots. Like, how many pots does one person need? Right? Shit. Oh, but I'm going to still do apples yet, but I can use my medium-sized pot, which is a big pot. Not as big as these pots I've been using, but bigger than your average pot. Yeah. I'm glad I did it, though, for sure. Because this tasty stuff, it will go good with other things. Right. That sausage, though, was salty. So that broth is going to be really salty by the time everything just marinates in it, eh? But that's okay. It's a base for something. That's the whole point of this exercise. I didn't waste anything. Nothing, people. Just those little tortilla things with the cheese inside or whatever. They went outside. And those peas, I left them out, and I ended up throwing them outside for compost. I'll buy frozen vegetables one day. I got a bag of frozen peas downstairs. I'll try and dehydrate those. And then one day when I'm out and about, or I'll get Tisha to buy me a few bags of frozen vegetables and I'll dehydrate them. Peas and stuff like that. Just maybe some extra corn if you can find it. Right. See, this is now, it's like pacing. I'm pacing, eh? If I go sit down, I have to get up like right away. This one is like really funky. It's moving, right? Because there's only the 4 jars and the one little one. So it's not, it's just going up and down, up and down, up and down. Oh my God. I'll be glad when this is over. Okay, I'm telling you people, there's that Toucan nose again. That is the same freaking dude. This dude is like in too many videos. Right? At different times of the day. Like seriously, look at that dude's nose. Okay? That's Mr. Toucan. Chicken head. Gobble, gobble, turkey. Swing, swing, swing to the left and swing, swing, swing fast as you can be to the right. Okay? Look at this. Right? Look at this goon. Look at this. How many toucans do they have? I'm telling you, they got their fucking androids out and about, people. Yeah, they got this guy working 24/7 all over the freaking city, people. Okay? He's doing the night shift. He's doing crowd control. He's now stopping traffic and preventing people from going in. I'm wondering if they make the nose like that so it's distinguishable between the robot and its handlers. Okay? I mean, how would you know? Like, how would you know unless there was something to tell you that dude was not real? Okay? That nose is Toucan, Mr. Toucan's nose. Serious. Okay, so I'm using my magnifying glass here. This android is going to come up into the shot here any second. I think that, where is he? Right there, to Mr. Toucan. Okay, see his nose? He's just coming into the screen now. Okay? They have to be able to distinguish who the android is and who the what is that called? Human is. The handlers. Right? Because there's more than one handler. Look at that. That's Mr. Toucan. Look at that nose, people. This is plain as day. You can't miss it. Okay? Look at that. That's Mr. Toucan. Yeah. So these cops are throwing around the word mischief, threatening to arrest everybody for mischief. Isn't that interesting, eh? when Sierra was behind that closed door and that big baby-faced 6'7" cop showed up and my kid said, "What are you, backup?" He goes, "Yeah, backup, right?" And then he spouted out the word mischief, right? Because my son said something and he said, "No, it would be more like mischief. Under the Criminal Code of Canada, as if the police follow the Criminal Code of Canada, only when it's convenient for them, people."
You will be arrested.
Okay?
Is there anything violent going on? You will be arrested. All right. You know what?
Mr. Toucan's right there. Okay?
Answered your question. No, I asked if it's violent. Okay. I don't know, guys. Let's get the badge numbers.
Right, with his handlers.
Badge numbers. 13786.
Right.
OPP.
10585 261.
2613. Thank you.
That's Mr. Toucan. Look at his nose, people. Look at that nose. That is Mr. Toucan. This guy never fucking stops. He's better than an ever-ready battery. Look at his hands, people. Okay? That's a robot. I'm telling you, that's a fucking robot. Okay? A robotoid / human something. It's something that's not like us. Okay? This guy is everywhere. He's like in all the fucking videos. Well, maybe at least 70% of the videos, they're flashing his nose. Okay? Right? You know? You think he's the only one out of that whole crowd of so-called cops? Hell no. That's the only way they can bring it into society to test their prototype. Right? Because they have too many sitting in a fucking warehouse right now. Right? I'm going back and forth checking this canner.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good day. You see, I know what's going on here, okay? Because, like I said, I've been in the game for a long, long, long time, okay? Whatever's taken over our government, I'm telling you, well, lots of people know this already. The Canadian Caucasian, basically, because they were at one point the majority within Canada. Regardless of where they came from, at some point they were all immigrants. But the point is, they're being targeted, people. They're being targeted in the healthcare system. Seen that with Uncle John. Definitely seen it with Sierra and Shimei and Mamari. There's just no denying it. And it's the fact that we've got 15 years of baby boomers coming into the healthcare system right across Canada, right? With the majority of them being Caucasian, okay? Because that's just the timeline of history when it comes to Canada, as we're being replaced with an immigrant population that's coming in mostly as bigots and racists and freaking fucking, I don't know what, slaves. They like being slaves just so they can get away from their own rotten, stinking countries. Okay? And because they come, a lot of them, from backward countries, when they come here, they're backwards themselves, and they're already prejudiced and racist and bigots and whatever. So when the government says do, they're not going to squawk. They're just going to do it, people. Right? You got 95% immigrants working in the hospitals with a whole bunch of white people going in. Right? If they're not dying, they're getting injured. Many of them. Okay? So, you know, this, for as much as the government cares about the general population, no. It's the white people that are standing up right now, losing their jobs, as the government's bringing in unqualified immigrants to replace those positions. There's a name for that. The replacement of a population. Okay? And if you're white, they're not going to keep you alive. If they're trying to replace you, they're going to get rid of you. Okay? That's just reality. Right? So, this Mr. Toucan, he's just the prototype. They're just testing it out. These things. Right? They got him speckled in between the human cops with the handlers close by, to see how they respond, if they're going to respond the way they're supposed to respond, to see if anyone can notice that there's something not right about them, right? As they basically attack white people, because there's not too many other ethnic groups out there fighting for justice for Canada, because I guess they like being slaves. I guess they figure they're going to be safe as long as they keep sucking on the government's tit and do what the government tells them to do. Or they're directly involved with criminal activity and are harvesting organs and selling them on the black market and then building monster home after monster home after monster home after monster home. Okay, so I got another 11 minutes on this canner, right? And then after that, gotta let it cool, take everything out. I will wash it, and then I have to fill up the jars with the broth, the bone broth, put it in another 20 minutes. So I'm looking still at another hour and a half. I don't know what time it is, but I'm waiting for this canner to be done. I only got a couple of seconds here. Now, we know, well, we don't know. I think, it's my opinion, okay, based on what I know, they're not going to put every individual in a goon suit as a robotoid. They're going to speckle them out because it's just the prototype. They're just testing the waters right now, people. Okay? They've been manufacturing these things for a long time. They only show you what they want you to see, but they're 25 years at least in advance with the technology that we don't see. That's a given. That's been common knowledge for years and 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 years. Okay? We knew through reports in the past that they were going to start coming out with mass production of androids, robotoids, whatever you want to call them, / hybrid humans, in the year 2021. Okay? Has anyone seen any robots working at the local Walmart? Has anyone seen robots working in a clothing store or doing nails? Where do you think they would put them first without maybe the public even realizing it? Hold on a minute. So my train of thought is getting broken here because I'm paying attention to the canner, okay? But no, like seriously, where do you think that they would bring such a thing out into the public without the public really realizing what's going on because of all the drama and trauma and hype and anxiety and fear and just whatever, okay? They're going to bring, and being that they were designed to be super soldiers, right, through DARPA, okay, and that kind of industry, right, you know, it only makes sense that they're going to look at the body stance. Look at the body stance. Look at this one. If this was, you're in a crowd and you have 20 of these for every 100, how are you going to be able to distinguish what is human and what is an android out of 100 people? But you want to be able to isolate 20 of them. How would you do that out of 100 people? When they all look dressed up the same, basically, besides maybe height. Hold on a minute. 7 minutes left to go on the canner. I would say this individual, just by the way they're standing, it's like that toucan nose. You can't miss it, okay? I mean, this toucan, he's around almost in every clip, okay? Well, 3 of them, three for sure, okay? In the last 48 hours, okay? In different circumstances at different times of the day, all right? This individual right here, look how erect it's standing. Arms down, feet close together, looking forward. It would be very easy for the handler in the crowd to pick this person out in terms of that's the android. Okay? So, because you know there's handlers in the crowd. Okay? You know the handler is because this is the prototype. This is what they want to expand on. And then eventually make a whole force. But they can't come out with a whole force in the beginning because they're really not too sure how these individuals are going to carry out their so-called programmed duties, right? Okay? And yes, that's Amari giggling. Amari, what are you doing? Why are you awake? Go to sleep. Your mother would say, go to sleep, Amari. Why are you awake? Okay? You can't miss that. Right? If you were in charge of an android and you needed to keep an eye on it to see how it would respond to its duties in a crowd like that, how would you be able to tell that's an android? Unless, of course, maybe something like this. Or maybe like Mr. Toucan's nose, right? With his whipping around the neck. Right? Okay, so now it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I just turned off the canner. So in about another half an hour or so, I can take that stuff out and get those, get that broth in. Right, but I'm gonna wash the canner because I do it 2 times, but 3 is getting a little too greasy for me. Now, here's a new scene, and this is why I say, okay, the what is it called? Public union sector is involved with this. First of all, they hold all the resources, right, in terms of public tax dollars and that type of stuff. They control public facilities, right? Obviously, they control the police and the military and whatnot because, you know, it's that union. Okay? So, in part, in my opinion, this is somewhat staged. Now, maybe the people who started it that are now being arrested, you know, they're suckers like me. You know, I started a foundation, 21 going on 22 years ago, with all the right intentions, put in tens of thousands of dollars into promoting goodwill and Canadian, you know, charity and just whatever, right? It was just waste of time, waste of money, people, right? Because the union had a different plan. Just like they stole $20 million from those donations that came in. Okay? Right? The union, public union sector is a really broad brush. Right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, it was the union that stole the money. Okay? But they needed this kind of a situation in order to bring out the prototype. But how would you know? How could you possibly know? Right? So, this one here has very dark eyes. Most of these faces are showing. Not this one. See? That looks a little odd, don't you think? What are we looking at? There's that satanic shit where they bring in their one-eyed monsters. I mean, look at it.
Guys all have
See?
families too.
Where am I? This one has dark. Do you see? It's cut off in here. Do you see? Look. Very chiseled.
slave to this country to
Still see the white?
business.
Right?
Stand with us.
Then he pans back.
Don't follow the order.
Look how this one is completely different. All of a sudden. Because he's wearing something.
Don't follow the order.
See? See? See, so if you had to pick him out from the crowd as to who's the robotoid, how do you think that would happen? Considering what I just showed you. This one too far away. It's hard to say. I would say maybe that's a suspect. White. 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 Don't look at the ones in the back. Although that one looking kind of funny, don't you think? Look at that. Look at that face. How is that even possible, people? Okay? Seriously. Anyway, let's just stay focused. White. White. White.
Don't follow the order.
Oh, my mouse. Move, man.
Stand with us.
I have to get a new mouse. Okay, try this again. White. 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 Where am I? White. Seems to be very dark. Don't see nothing. See? You can see it cut off here. There it is again. It's cut off like that. But you see nothing there. Right? Just standing there. Doesn't change. White. 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 Dark. See, all the way down. White. White. What about this one? Now, this one looking kind of odd, don't you think? It's completely opposite. It's almost like they have a white mask on. Do you see? Dark eyes, dark chin, and something white over it. And clearly it looks... Here you can see this individual's face. Where am I? Right here. See? This one is... I don't know what that is. Now we're gonna pan back.
You guys all have family too.
See? Completely different. Where's my finger? Here. Dark eyes. There's all black up in here. That must be Mr. Toucan's nose. Do you see that nose? You can barely see it. Right? Complete opposite. So, if I was a handler, I'd be looking for somebody or something like that when it gets crazy in the crowd. Easy to distinguish. Right? Some of these images what are we looking at here, people? Okay, black mask. What is this? This is obviously their face. How did I miss this? Look, completely dark. Okay, we'll use this one as a comparison. Obviously, it's an N95 mask, right? But you can still see the white face, the eyes, because the eyes talk to you. Oh wait, there's her face. Now I can see it. There's her eyes. One eye, two eye. Okay. This one's looking pretty dark though. I even think some of these videos are staged. Well, I don't need to think. I know they are.
Don't follow the order.
There it is again. Completely different. See? Dark, dark. You just see a bit of that nose. Do you see that nose in there?
Don't follow the order. Stand with us.
So out of that long line, and if one was a robotoid, how would you pick up that individual outside of maybe looking at the way they're standing? Right? Oh boy. Okay, so clean canner. I'm heating it up. You don't take hot to cold. Everything will explode if you do that. It's 3:39 in the morning, like the good old days, as Uncle John would say. So now I'm heating this up. I'm going to bring it to a boil. Right? I've got myself 7 jars there. It's only 20 minutes in the canner. Easy peasy. And then I'm done. Done. What a detour that was. I have to still do the black walnuts though. But that's for later. Right, in terms of what was in that deep freeze. They're in vacuum sealed bags. So they're okay. Right. I want to taste this broth again. What do you think? Huh? That's batch number 2. Definitely beef bone broth. So I'm just watching this video and these people are cold and I'm thinking like this. I'm like, okay, well, we know why we did it in the wintertime, right? Because they wanted to keep the numbers low, people. As low as they possibly could, so they chose one of the coldest times of the year, okay, to do this, right? if there was more people in the summertime, or in this, even in the late spring, or even in the later part of the fall, it would have been that much more harder to control, and it would have been that much more harder to be able to identify those prototypes. Okay?
Déloger tranquillement les manifestants pour reprendre possession de la rue et en évacuer les camions.
You know, when they took Andre, I set up a GoFundMe to try and get a lawyer, because I was denied access to a lawyer because I was nothing more than just a grandmother. Okay? Even though I had put an application in for custody of Andre at that time. And do you know that the GoFundMe was taken down? It was denied. I was denied access to have the right to fundraise for a lawyer. Go figure. So what GoFundMe did to these people in terms of a collective, basically taking $10 million and to heck with you, right? And then the government going after the other 10 million that's being held by a different company through donations. It's just, in my opinion, theft. It's oppression, right? It's not any more different than what they did to me. GoFundMe had no right to take down that campaign. Whether I would have gotten donations or whether I wouldn't have gotten donations, it wouldn't have mattered, right? But you see, they let this one run because they knew it was going to bring in a lot of money, people. Okay. And now people will be fighting for years in court for that money. And by the time a decision is made, that money will be long gone. And so will the people that are associated with it. Whether positive or negative. Okay, so there's Mr. Toucan. See, I told you, did I not? And look, he's in a different suit now, people. He's not all dressed up in black no more. There's his nose. You can't miss it. Why do they keep featuring this individual? That's his nose, people. Only this time, he's wearing yellow. The last clip in this video you seen, he was wearing black. Okay? And he's got clear glasses on this time. Okay? Look at that eye, people. This is where it gets funky. This is where satanic fucking shit comes in. Okay, it's not even matching up. It is not even matching up. Okay, like, this shit makes me sick when I see this crap. But this is the same kind of shit that was going on when Sierra was behind that closed door. Okay? Take that to exposure, and what do you think you're going to get? Do you see this? I'm zooming in. Look at that. Nothing matching up, people. You can't tell me that's not Toucan's nose. This is where it becomes suspect for these people who are recording this crap, people. Okay? Because when I see stuff like this, it's being done with intent. Okay?
Institutions are starting to feel the pain of the division that they've been causing.
I love you guys.
In
Thank
the
you.
communities in this country.
country.
I think that it's fantastic that we've finally started to have an impact and finally started to see some change.
So what? Did that guy morph or something? Is that what I'm seeing here? There he is right there. He has something black that's somewhat open. I don't know how that's possible, but do you... Because we can see his lips, we can see his so-called chin, right? We can see his buggy one eye open. You can see the pupil. Here it's completely different. Okay? What's going on here? Do you see this? Okay, so where does he go? He's not wearing mesh nylon stocking here, people. This is way too dark. Okay, but they want you to see this. This shit's staged, but that's Mr. Toucan's nose. No question about that. This is how dirty the cops are, okay? Yeah.
That those institutions are starting to feel the pain of the...
Look how it changed from one frame to the other. Okay? You can't tell me you didn't see that. What are we looking at? What happened? The face starts to change. You can still see the mouth. You can still somewhat see a chin. Completely black. Here it's graying out. There it's all white. But it wasn't like that like a second ago. We're at 48.45. So we'll go to 48.43. $48, $14, $34, oh boy, $17, $30. Okay, I think we're coming into it now. There. Alright. So it's looking here, you can kind of see his mouth. It looks like it's a mesh of some kind. I don't know what kind chin that is, but definitely looking kind of weird. Don't you think? Are we looking at a shapeshifter here, people? Like, what is that? Clearly you can see that bug eye. And they like to bring their morbid shit into this crap. They have an asphyxiation with it. Okay? What is this? If you notice, the eye is becoming even more pronounced. The pupil, there's the pupil, is looking up. You can see the white of the eye. This one's closed. Okay, there's the eyelid. You can see it. You don't see no pupil, nothing. This one, though, you can clearly see it with the eyeball facing up. Why we can see through this mesh mask, I don't know, but we can. Okay? Look how the pupil now is over here going up. What happened? What's going on? We can see the rim of the glasses. Clearly there's Mr. Toucan's nose, but what's going on here, people? What is this? What are we looking at? Now he goes out of frame. Coming back. Look how that changed. Okay, I'm turning it on and off, on and off. Look how that changed. What's going on with his neck here? Oh, I guess it must be a turtleneck. What happened to half his mask? What happened? I'll bring it back. Okay? It's happening so fast, people aren't paying attention to it. But when you come closer, you need to ask yourself, where did it go? Is this some magical fabric that just cuts itself in half? Okay, so now I'm just getting ready to vent. So whatever this is, it's morphing in front of our eyes. Clearly you can see that. Now you can see this pupil. You can see it now. This one, somewhat. But what kind of mask is this, people? Look at that. Straight down. You can't get any straighter than that. Okay? See? Look. If that isn't doctored in terms of a videotape that's been either edited or they're doing this on, this is being done on purpose. What is this? What are we looking at here, people? Looking pretty gumpy to me. Huh? Mr. Toucan knows. You know, just enough for the unconscious mind to pick it up. Okay? Here you can see, where am I? Shadowing. Completely different. Hold on a minute. Okay, 10 more minutes to vent. Then like 20 minutes to can. 10, 15 minutes or so to 20 minutes to let it cool down. Take it out of the canner. And then I'm done. It'll be 5:30 in the morning again. What's going on? Is it playing? What's going on?
Fantastic. That we finally started to have an impact and finally started to see some change.
To get drive a meeting on the other side that I'm trying to get to.
You can help us bring about that change faster.
We've been trying. Well, no, but I'm not part of the person. I know, Mr. Watson. Okay. Am I correct? Yeah. Yes, I got it. Every time I see a famous person, I get the kick with hand.
This one here looking like a ninja. Seriously, what's going on with that? You think his eyes would be getting fried. There's another one right here too. I just seen it. Like, how could you tell? How could you tell which one's an android and which one's human?
We've been trying to not lose.
Something going red in here. Do you see? It looks like it has swimming goggles on. That's kind of like a swimming goggle. But this was glowing red. Okay?
I know.
Now it's gone dark, but as I bring the camera in, the camera is picking up on it. There. Do you see? What's going on with this? I can see it through the camera, but I don't know if the camera's picking it up. There's another one back here too. Here's right here as well.
Okay. Am I correct? Yes, I got it.
Look at that. Who dresses up like that? That's a ski mask or something. Here's right here. This one you can clearly see. How could you possibly see through those things? What's going on with the nose and the mask? What is all this? That looks like a Pinocchio nose. Just a little dot on there. Just seen another one. See? There's that Pinocchio nose. Do you not see the red in there? I can see it through the lens here. The closer I get, the redder it gets. Looking from where I'm sitting, you wouldn't notice it. Bring the camera in, you can start to see to notice it. There's one right there. Oh, there's Mr. Toucan. You can't miss him. So where are we at? 49.26 for 49.12. What's wrong with this face? Look at this face. Oh wait, maybe it's not a face. No, sorry, I got confused. They're earmuffs. They got earmuffs on. There's another red mask, only this one's got a white rim around it. But clearly you can see the red in it. Why? Why? There's one right there too. Look at that. Okay, we're coming into Mr. Toucan. Right here. With half his face showing. How can you be so defined about that? If this isn't staged, I don't know what is. And what's going on with that neck? Okay? He's got both eyes open this time. You can see. You can see. Clearly that's Mr. Toucan's nose. What's this? Huh? What kind of mask is that? Or do you think that's some kind of satanic symbolism? I think so. And then it cuts like this. Right? Look at this. Look, now the nose, the tip of the nose is going right over the mask. Do you see that? Who has a nose like that? This shit's staged, people. Seriously. See? Okay, so I got like 13 more minutes here. Right? Having to move every... Anyway. Do you see? That was... I'm pretty sure this was the lamb. Now, I have a sledgehammer. I'm trying to figure out how I can crush these things. I don't want to put them in water and boil the crap out of them and make bone broth again, because then all the nutrients, the calcium and whatnot in the bone is going to go in the liquid. I'm trying to figure out how I can salvage these bones, pulverize them, and use them with my gardening. I'm just thinking. Now, inside, you see, I was going to suck on these things, but I never got a chance. I can feel it. There's bone marrow in that. Now, I can take the whole bone and I can just scatter them around in my garden. That would be fine. I've done it before, and over a period of time, they just fall apart, right? They just add calcium to the dirt. That's all that happens. But it would be nice if I had a little container full of just, I guess that's what you call bone meal, right? So, I don't know. I think what I'll do, I'm just biding time here, people. Tomorrow I'll separate them into their sizes. I could throw them into the oven and bake the shit out of them in terms of drying everything up, so that when it comes times to pulverize them, they would just pulverize very quickly. Some of them, not all of them. Right? But do you really want bone marrow in it? I don't know, because it's going to be throughout the whole bone, right? I don't even know if it's possible to do anything like that. See, now I'm at 3. This is creeping up on me. Oh, I got 11 more minutes. But then on the other hand, because this is still moist, if you were to take a sledgehammer to it, chances are it would squish. And then it would be easier to open it up and get to the bone marrow. And in that situation, the more you could squish and open up, then you could take a pot of boiling water, throw everything in there, give it a quick boil, drain it, strain it, let it dry, and then pulverize it, because chances are a lot of that would cook out into the water. Because I don't know if you'd want bone marrow, per se, in your bone meal that you might be using for houseplants. I'm just using that as an example, right? You could still take that bone meal and go give it to a plant outside. That would be fine. Like, I have a bay leaf plant that's suffering, but besides that point, maybe that would be the better way to bust these things up. I don't know. Never done it before. I'm going to Google it tomorrow. How to make bone meal out of soup bones. I wonder if I'll find anything on the internet. Okay, so now I'm waiting for the canner to cool down. It's 5:17 in the morning. Okay, I can't take it out too fast because we got that vortex going around. So because it's broth, you just got to give it a little longer for it to cool down if you don't want siphoning to happen of the liquid, right? Okay. Anyway, Roberts Paulson is being reported perhaps dead. That was the individual, I just Googled this now, who apparently was trampled by a horse. Okay? Ottawa Police Authority also stated that protesters injured a police service animal. Woman trampled by police horse, Ottawa. This just makes me think of desecrating the national symbol. Okay? I don't know if this is true or not, but horses are basically only in Ottawa when in fact they should be right across the whole country. But the federal government doesn't want to support that cause, so they've pretty much just isolated them down to the capital of Canada. And now, you know, there's a little smear, right?
Oh, come on through. Come on through. What is happening here? What?
It's kind of irresponsible of the police to be running through the crowd like that. It's a very thick crowd with horses, of all things.
What is this lady doing? Traveling.
I don't know what the point was.
Traveling horses. Traveling. Stop it. Stop it.
Right? So, it's hard to say, right? Let's see what else there is. 4 hours ago, who is trampled by horse video? Her name was, this is 5 hours ago. It's on YouTube. Let's go see. Yeah, I seen that. Face was pretty messed up. A native woman.
Amen. Amen. Happiness. Peace.
Peace, love, and happiness.
You think she's native?
Here comes the horses.
See, those horses are going pretty fast, too, people. Under the Fair Use Act.
Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Look what you did! Look what you did to her! Look what you did to her! Look what you did to her! You trampled on the lady who is inaccessible! Shame on you! Shame on every one of you! Shame on you! Damn you! You did lady who was a walker! She had a walker and she just got crushed. They just trampled a lady with a walker.
So she had a walker.
Shame on you guys! Shame on you! What are you doing?
Stay peaceful.
Shame on you guys! You just...
Mr. Toucan. Doesn't he look familiar?
trampled a walker.
I mean, come on, look at that nose. Look at that pointy head. Look, you can't miss him. It's over now. Wow, there you go. I don't know. Some of that stuff was staged. We seen that. Okay. This person, apparently, those videos that we seen were sent to him by other people. Because he was at home not feeling very well, so therefore he wasn't out and about doing a live stream. So those were other people's clips, right? Okay, so I'm almost done this video here. I'm going to be taking this stuff out of the canner and then I'll show you, and that's it. Anyway, this is a different video now. Okay, I'm on a different video. Who does that look like to you people? What do you think? Huh? Doesn't that look kind of familiar? That nose. Maybe, eh? This guy is everywhere. He's got his little chicken face. Right? Like, seriously. This is a completely different video. Completely different outfit. But you can almost say that's the same dude. Mr. Toucan. Moonum. Where is he? There he is. There he is. That's the same dude, people. If I was to take this picture and compare it to the first time I did this with this individual, you would clearly see it's him. Right? I should write this down and work on it tomorrow on a different video and show you. How is it this guy is popping up in all these videos wearing different paraphernalia? Okay? That's the same skinny face with the big ass fucking nose and the weird eyes. Okay? Only this time he's got different kind of glasses on. Right? What is this? We're at 9:13 on this. Let's see what else comes up. Now he's out of the frame.
You're taking one of you. Oh my God. Thank you, Danny. You're arresting one of their own. I can't believe that.
There he is, right there. Okay. Where are we at? 9:24. So he's gonna come into the frame.
Oh my God. Thank you, Danny.
Maybe this one. what's going on with this one. Yeah, that's him. That's Mr. Toucan. Look how tall he is. And then he gets these funky fucking eyes. Yep, that's Mr. Toucan. There's his pointy nose.
Just resigned last week.
That guy's everywhere. Working every shift, every day, all day, switching up on the clothes from place to place. He's right there. Mr. Toucan. He's right here. You can't miss him. I'm not surprised, people. Okay, see, I took it out of the canner too soon because it's like 10 to 6 in the morning here, and this just popped and spit out because of that vortex. If I would have just left it in the canner for another 10, 15, 20 minutes, it wouldn't do that. But besides that point, this is obviously not a full jar, so that's going to go in the fridge, and then we'll maybe try and make a soup with it, okay? We'll see how that goes. So that's it. That's what I did for today. You can see I did a lot, people. A lot. But I'm done now. I'm done with the meat. It was a greasy, greasy job, okay? But I'm glad I did it. Yeah, you can't miss this dude. Whoa. It's not what I wanted. Hold on. Talk about a super soldier, people. Seriously. This guy is everywhere. Yeah, almost in every video. I've seen him in like 4 or 5 different videos. Okay, that is the same freaking dude. Okay, super soldier. Yeah. You can't miss him. See? And look how tall he is compared to everybody else. Right? And look how he's standing. Right? I'm surprised he's not whipping his head around. Okay? He's been dressed up in like 3 different costumes already.
He's done nothing wrong.
There he is right there, looking straight at the camera. Tell me that's not Mr. Toucan with his nose. Okay? It's like he's being featured on purpose, people. Seriously. See how fast he turned his head? Hold on a minute. Let's see. That's what he was doing before. Okay, this is what we're looking at right here. Look how tall he is. Where's his Frankenstein boots? Let's see if we can catch this on slow speed. Alright, watch his head. Well, now mind you, this is on slow speed. And he looking straight at the camera with his big ass nose. With his chicken face. Right? That's Mr. Toucan. This is how you know it's all staged. Okay. Although I do believe that they've brought out their super soldiers. Yeah. So we're gonna just bring it back by 2 seconds if I can. Oops. There we go. There's his head. I'm gonna put it on normal speed. And you're gonna see how fast he freaking turns it. Like a fucking chicken. Some kind of bird. That's why I call him Toucan. Okay, just pay attention.
Where do you want to go?
Here he is again. You can't miss him.